Oh, Joy's in here. Hey, I'm watching. I'm watching Repzion's video and going through it. Some things I agree with, some things I don't. So I'm just giving my all-around opinion. Guest Joy, she's not in the guest queue, guys. I feel like if Joy wanted to talk to me, she would go into the guest queue. She should talk. I mean, like, I would love to see. I'd love to hear what she has to think about. I mean, maybe she's uncomfortable. I understand that. If she comes back, let me know, and I will guest her if she wants to guest. I mean, she knows. I've always had, like, I feel like we've always been kind to each other, so I'd be interested. Oh God, hi. How's it going? Well, no, it's just like see, I almost thought people were lying to me about you being here. I've been hearing about this Repzion video for like a solid 3-4 weeks now, that he was going to make this video. Thank you, Michelle. He's going to make this video about you. And I like didn't understand why it would take so long and why it needed to be hyped for a month. But anyways, people wanted me to watch it, so I've been like clicking through it. No, yeah, I'm good. I don't know if you've seen it or if you want to give your thoughts on it, or maybe you're probably going to make your own video response. I'm sure you will. I'm sure you're on that shit. But if you want to add commentary to this, I would be glad to hear you. But I mean, I get it if it's like not a comfortable thing for you. But I'm going through his video and giving my both positive and negative thoughts of it. So it's interesting. Actually, yeah, I actually do have, I mean, like, unfortunately, I'm not even halfway through it yet. So maybe I will develop some questions at some point. But cool, okay. Sorry about this. There we go. Is it working?
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, girl.
Okay, I have to ask, have you seen the video?
I have, yes.
Feelings?
Not a lot, to be honest. So like, and this is stuff, Jaclyn, you might not know. Almost, actually, I don't want to say almost, like everything in that video we've.
Okay,
like,
hold on. I'm so sorry. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
People are saying there's an echo and it's my bad. So let me grab my headphones super quick.
Take your time.
I'm so sorry. Hold on 1 second.
No, take your time. Hi, chat. Hello, loves.
All right. I'm back. I'm going to plug this in so that we don't have a weird echo going on. Sorry, guys. All right. Can you hear me?
I can. Are we good
Okay.
now?
We're good. I think, is it better, guys?
What do you think, chat?
Okay. Cool. All right. Fix the echo. So what are your feelings on the video?
Not much, I'll be honest. So like, and this is stuff you might not know, Jaclyn, but everything in the video I've like for months talked about and debunked. So,
Okay.
Like, that's
So you knew what was coming then.
Oh yeah. Actually, I'm sorry. You can't see the lighting. It's dark. I know it's dark where you are too. I was very, very aware. In fact, I thought the video was fairly easy. I guess like I guess I expected a little more, but yeah, it's weird. Like at first I was like, I looked at it and I was like, I'm going to respond to it. But I sat and like, the whole thing is with him for weeks, a lot of times when he teases it, he follows it up with, and you're going to make a million videos. And I sat there and I talked to like a couple of my friends about it. And they were just like, they were looking at me like, Joy, you've debunked all of this. Like, I know it's the same for you, Jaclyn, but every 4 to 6 weeks, the same rumors recycle. But then people think they found something new. And like since I got on YouTube, that's what I've been going through. I've been really, really open about being a new ager in my past. And I even still have some like odd beliefs. But my issue, I would say the issue I had with the video was that so much of it, like literally out the gate, girl, the first sentence was inaccurate. The first sentence of the first piece of evidence, I'm like, that didn't happen. What is he like? So, but it was, again, it's just, I kind of was in this place of like, I think he wants a back and forth. Like, I think he wants a fight with me. And if I've already debunked this stuff over and over again, is it worth it to keep doing? Like, And maybe
I think it is only because he has like talked this video in particular up for a long time and has a sizable amount of people in his audience that maybe have not been exposed to you. So if you make a response video that is, you know, packaged, you know, specifically for this video that he made about you, there's a higher chance for the people who have seen his video to see yours. And I don't know, I feel like if you made a video saying, you know, responding to Mr. Repzion or something, that people would see that recommended next to his, which would be beneficial. I don't know. If I were you, I would address it. Because I think like maybe, especially in this kind of a situation, like to not would maybe somewhat implicate yourself.
And
you know what I mean?
And I agree too. I think, and this is where it gets kind of tricky. The other thing is that I was thinking about, I know that he has been, and I want to say this really, really lightly because I don't want people are going to get pissed if I don't say this right, or even if I say it at all. But the other thing I was thinking about is I know his family's going through a lot of health stuff. Like I know his dad is going through some stuff. And I just sat there and thought, like, considering the fact that I've already talked about all this, I know that he's not in a real good place with all of that. I don't know if at the moment it would be appropriate. Like when he was trying to get it together and he kept having to delay it and stuff and go back and forth because his dad was in the hospital. And like at that point I was just like, well, fuck our drama. Does that make sense? Like fuck any of that. Like that's what to me is really important. So just kind of.
But I mean, the video, but he posted the video now. Like he posted it today.
He did, yeah.
So it's out there and clearly like, you know, it's on the table.
It is. I don't, like I said, I don't know. I've so far I've said for now, I don't want to, because that's the other thing. I think how do I put this is like, if he wants a fight, and this is stuff I've already talked about, the best thing I could do is just not to give him the attention. That's kind of like, but I also see your point of it. That's the thing. Like,
but I mean, like, I feel like the number one thing people are probably going to say in response to that is you've given so much, you've given so much attention to people like Onision, who is, in my opinion, exponentially worse. And so to not respond to Daniel for the purposes of not giving him attention seems a bit odd when so much attention has been given to like Onision and Daddy 5 and people that are legitimately terrible.
Right. And I think though that's at the same time, I'm not the kind of person that like, it's also a weird area for me because at one point we were on, I would call it friendly terms. Like we weren't friends or anything, but we were on friendly terms and I'm not
word of advice, be careful who you're friends with on the internet. It could implode at any moment.
Jaclyn,
I learned that from the Onision thing. Lesson learned.
Oh my girl, no, like, okay, I hate to be like Jake Paul every day, bro. No, that's what I've learned. I'm like, there are no real friendships on here, okay? Like, even tonight it happened, another one imploded, and I was just like, really? And it's funny because, like, for me, if I have an issue with somebody and I've been on friendly terms with them, I'm going to come to you in private. I'm not just going to blast you. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, to me, that's being a respectful adult. Apparently on YouTube, that is not expected, and I'm the minority, and I'm the asshole for that. So I don't know, it's interesting. But I think to add to what you were saying, the other part of this that I was thinking about is that I don't like attacking people for no reason, I guess. And on the one hand, it's like I feel like he has every right to criticize me. Anybody has every right to criticize me, even though like it's for me and anybody in my fan base that has watched me and has followed me. Like most of my people were laughing. They're like, that's it. This is stuff you've talked about in great detail in length for a while. And at the same time, like I said, at one point we were on friendly terms. And as a result, do I really want to go attacking somebody who I know their family's going through some stuff? We were on friendly terms. I've already
listen. I don't think that responding to this would be an attack so much. Like, I think there's a way to do it that's not an attack on him, and that's simply defending yourself, which is completely legitimate in this situation because this entire video was about you and, like, super personal. And I know that you said that you have said a lot of these things in the past in your videos, but to be fair, you've made a lot of videos, and they're long. So probably the majority of people don't know a lot of these things. Like even me, like I've only watched like 28 minutes of it right now. There's a lot of stuff I didn't even know. So I feel like even though it's not necessarily like outing you because you've already outed yourself on a lot of these things. It is still exposing you to a degree to a larger audience on a lot of things they didn't probably already know. So that's kind of why I think maybe like one solid video responding to this hour-long thing would be good.
Like, that was the other part. I'm like, how do you do one video? Like, it would have to be a 3-hour video. Like, if I really went over
that's
point
fine.
by point.
I mean, this video is an hour. This video is an hour, and like, you know, you could cut out a decent chunk of some of this stuff, you know, or not even use it.
Like, I'm afraid if I didn't, people would call me manipulative. Like, I'm in. By the way, I wanted to get your opinion on this. I'm in this weird place of when people attack me, if I defend myself, then I'm an asshole. Like, I'm in this odd box, or maybe
you're never an asshole for defending yourself. If there's a way to do it. Like I said, like if you respond to Repzion, you can do it in a way that is defending yourself without necessarily attacking him. Like, make it all about you. You know, that's my suggestion. But if you don't want to talk about it, I don't want to pressure you. Like, that's the last thing I want to do.
Honestly, you've always been really nice to me. Like, I'm happy to talk to you about it any day. And I'm still sitting on it. Like, I thought I might respond, but just release it later. I'm kind of sitting with it right now. I guess my big thing is I don't really want to get into a big back and forth. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have some kind of...
I don't know. I don't see him going on about this for a long time. I feel like this was his, like, one and done. Maybe he would keep going for a video or two. I don't know. I don't have a way of predicting that. I'm not psychic. But I do think responding fast would be good for you, because the longer you wait, the longer people are going to wonder if you're not responding because of, you know, of some personal admittance of guilt or something. Do you know what I mean? The longer you wait,
that too. That's the other thing. Like, I've been in this place of playing a lot of devil's advocate with this, because just trying to kind of weigh exactly what is the best thing. Because again, there's nothing I'm trying to hide. Like, and I agree with you too, where I was like, you know, as much as he didn't do his research on this, and he didn't, like, and I mean, like, out the gate. So like, I'll fill you in on a couple of things. The first,
so he missed a lot, huh? The hour-long video wasn't enough.
girl.
Okay.
Like, the first piece where he's like, what was it? It was the first sentence about, so Katie...
I don't remember.
Or what did he say? He's like, Joy submitted something on this website, and I looked, I'm like, I never submitted anything on there. So Jaclyn, I'll give you a little overview if you don't know. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. For a long time, and I still do to an extent, I had a lot of weird-ass New Age beliefs. I still do to an extent, but I view it differently. It's weird. I think I waste...
Beliefs change.
Right. But the other thing is, back then I didn't really know how to critically think. That was something that kind of came later. So as much as I can sit here and say, oh yeah, I believe in, like, I can sit here and tell people I think people could talk to the dead if they want to.
And you critically think now differently? Like, now you consider yourself a critical thinker?
I'm more so, yeah. So I can still have certain beliefs, but the thing is, I can now... Back then, I was more resolute. If I had a belief, I would think it's fact for myself. Does that make sense? And now I'm more open, where it's like, okay, I maybe had some odd spiritual experiences, or I have some odd thoughts. Do I think this is what absolutely is? Nope. Like, that's
Do you think you're a psychic?
This is where it gets odd. I think everybody's intuitive to a degree. Everybody. Like, like, for instance, just the whole thing of, like, you know, when you can feel somebody looking at you from far, like from a distance, or like you think about somebody and they call. I think everybody, or, you know, just kind of even to be able to read body language. I think everybody is intuitive to a degree. It just depends on what degree.
Well, I mean, you can be observable, but do you think beyond that there is some kind of, like, supernatural ability that maybe you possess that some others don't, as far as, like, predictive abilities of the future and things like that?
I mean, see, that's where it gets really odd, because do I think anybody can predict the future? No. Do I think that's where it gets weird, because I think because you have free will, nobody can really determine what your future is or what is going to happen. At the same time, like, because I've done a lot of, like, I like doing a lot of different research on sciences, especially when you mix experience with science, like spirituality with science. I love that sort of thing. And if everything boils down to, like, everything is made of energy, and when I look at it from that context, and that some people can pick up on different energies, just like anything, like even matter, everything is just made up of energy, then I have a different view, where I think and forgive me, I'm choosing my words carefully because I know the term psychic has a lot of different connotation with it that I don't agree with. That's why I more use the word intuitive. I do believe, like, I guess what you were saying, it's supernatural power to an extent. I do believe everybody has that to an extent. It just depends on whether or not people want to be open to it or use it. But
I can be psychic. I'm just not tapping into it.
To an extent, but it depends on what people, like the definition.
All right. I predict that if you make a video response, it'll be good for you.
You think so?
Okay, and like, let me just ask you this, because this was my major question watching this first half of the video. He seemed to think that because you had these beliefs that you were conning people, and I want to ask: are these things that you like, services that you offered to other people? Did you get paid for some of those? Was it like a thing where you were hired to like help people, like faith healing to an extent?
No. Okay. I'll go into this too, because I was thinking about, and I've talked about this before, but so, okay. This is where I'll kind of explain some of how I thought and how I structured and like how I do things now. So I came from and I think you and I've talked a little bit about this. I came from a very religious area. So I came from Independence, Missouri. That is literally, people think in Salt Lake, it's the Mormon headquarters of the world. If you look up Independence, Missouri, they have this big like spiral church thing. That is where like the headquarters is. And on top of that, we had a lot of Southern Baptists. It was a highly charged religious area.
Okay.
And there was I had a lot of judgment there. And so I was always somebody like who was kind of a spiritual seeker. And so rumors in my school started because I started reading books on like Buddhism and Taoism and Wiccan and pagan just because I was interested. And from then on, there were rumors that I was a witch and I worshiped the devil. And there was a time where people spit at me and it was shitty. And that was in junior high and that followed me. So what happened was when I left, and I ended up when I went over and lived in Europe, I was around somebody for the first time who was really similar to me spiritually. So it was like I went from one extreme of the pendulum to the other, if that makes sense. And that's kind of how I look at it. So I dove headfirst into a lot of just really exploring myself spiritually. And one thing I came across, and I cringe at now, and by the way, it's not called the Indigo Movement. I was like, what the fuck is the Indigo Movement? So back then they had this theory called the Indigo Children, which from my perspective, Repzion didn't get right, but at the same time that I think the term has evolved because like Jaclyn, this was like in 2004 and 5. Like, so this was like 12 and 13 years ago. And basically the whole concept was, what was it? Like some psychiatrist or something wrote a book and said like, oh, the people from like the 1985 and beyond, their auras are this color. And the whole concept for me was that I liked was that, you know, the people on the planet now are here to like help the planet and change it and this, that, and the other, and want to make good changes. And they're very intuitive and gifted and spiritual. And that's because I was in that place of spiritual seeking at the time. That's what I gravitated towards. What Daniel read off that website, which I don't know that website, by the way, like, and I'll have to explain that. I was like, I've never submitted anything there. What is that? And I really quickly saw that. But when it comes to what Daniel was going over and what he was talking about, like the biggest things he focused on, I was like, I never heard anybody say if you were on the spectrum not to get help. Like I sat there with my mouth open. I was like, I've never believed that. I was like, what is he talking about? So just to clear some of that up, I know that like I did a lot of, there was a time which I look at differently now where I was very much into like alternative medicine. And I still think.
Do you know what they call alternative medicine that works?
What's that?
Medicine. Anyways,
there you go.
One of my favorite jokes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of people are into that kind of stuff, and that's great. But like the one thing, and I don't know if I got a solid answer on this.
Sorry.
Did people come to you for help?
I didn't even answer your question. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like it's been
that's
a long
okay.
day. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all good.
Okay, and that it all ties in. Thank you for bringing it back. Forgive me, it's a long day.
Tim Minchin joke, by the way. Yeah, that was a Tim Minchin. Yeah, that I think he had that. I think in his poem Storm. He said, "What do you call alternative medicine that works?" Medicine. I love Tim Minchin. He's great.
I love it. I love
Super
it.
nice.
Okay. I love it.
But yeah, sorry. Did people come to you?
So what? Okay,
For
so I'll get
services.
into that. So where that part is, I wrote 2 articles back then. I cringe at a lot of what I wrote because I'm like, oh my God, like I was just in a very, very different place, very different mindset. I see things differently now. But at the very end of it, I think there was something about like, if you would like a reading or something, contact me. I remember, I believe only 2 people contacted me. There's one that I remember for certain. And the person asked, like, basically we had a phone call and I talked to him and I was like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable charging it. Like back then, basically with that.
So you never charged anybody for any of these services? No one paid you for anything?
Not for that. However, there was one thing I did. It was in 2008, maybe. I answered a Craigslist ad. There was a woman this was what I was going to tell you. And this was, but totally separate from this because this was a few years later. Some woman wanted somebody to do tarot readings at her party. And I was like, okay. And it was supposed to be for fun and entertainment. I did it and I left going, I don't ever want to do that again. So I did it one time, but it was completely different from the time and like the articles that he's referring to.
Okay. And when you did that, did you believe what you were doing to be true?
I believed it could. I came at it from the angle of I thought I could possibly be helpful, but I also made sure to come at it from the angle of, hey, this is something just for entertainment purposes, if that makes sense. Like I wasn't coming at it like I'm telling you what to do, and if you don't do this, blah blah. It was just like basically I had people like, because I felt like I was very intuitive, and I still, to a degree, feel like I'm intuitive to an extent. But again, like I feel like everybody's intuitive. I thought, okay, maybe this is something I can do. And I have dabbled in things like the tarot and things, and so it was something that I tried, and I ended up just not liking it all. I was like, this is not what I like. This does not feel right. But no, I never had clients. I never did anything like that.
Did you make it clear though? Did you make it clear though to the lady with the tarot cards that it was for entertainment? So have you ever? Yes. Have you ever given services to people, paid or not, and not personally believed in that? Like, have you ever basically sold bullshit for some kind of benefit, whether it be money or attention or something like that? Have you ever done that in like a charlatan type of way, or did you at all of these points genuinely believe in what it was that you were doing?
So like with the tarot stuff, as much as I say it's for entertainment, I also thought with the tarot stuff, hey, if I can help if I can help somebody see some insight, great. So it's both. But I wanted to make sure people understand, like anything I'm telling, who the fuck am I? I'm just sitting here like telling you some fucking cards and what they say. This is your own life. You do what you feel you need to do. But in terms of like, that I ever like do any therapy with somebody or counseling on that sort of thing, or no, that was it was a one-time thing a few years later to try it out to see if I liked it. I didn't like it, so moved on to the next. Well, I said moved on to the next thing. Just kind of nixed that off my list of like, that's not something that I want to do. And my whole premise back then was I really thought to help, like, because I went from a place of feeling like I couldn't talk about myself spiritually. I couldn't even explore that part of me. And I went to the other extreme. And when I went to the other extreme of, exploring everything and wanting to jump into this stuff and seeing the indigo movement and going, oh yeah, like, or what they called the indigo children was what it's called back then, like seeing the indigo children thing. And I everything I did was from a place of, I thought if I talked about my spiritual beliefs, that's how I could help inflict positive change. And the biggest thing is, as I've gotten older, I realized that spirituality for me is something that's more, it's more a sacred, private thing for me. And it's something that's constantly evolving and changing. And I think the best way for me to try to be a positive person or a positive influence is just to be myself, and just like really just to be present and be myself, and just kind of share with people and do what I can in a real aspect way of helping people, like feeding people who need like food and housing the homeless. Like, who gives a fuck about ideas?
So for my show, like, I don't know if you know, I have this show that's coming out about skepticism, and I actually do talk about a lot of these things, which is kind of interesting that it's coming up now. But one of the episodes, I went to a coven of witches. And I got to speak with some of these people, and they were like extremely kind people, but they ran a business. So they had a shop where they sold things, they taught classes, they performed spells for people. And I had a couple of private interviews with several of the people, and I sat them down, and at the end of the interview, and I really had to dig it out of them. It was kind of painful, but at the end of several of these interviews, I got these people to admit that they didn't necessarily believe in the supernatural aspect of what they were doing, but they did believe that they were able to help people because the people left feeling better. They felt they left in a better mood. And the fact that you could alter somebody's mood to a more positive state was magic. That's what they were calling magic. But they didn't believe that it had any actual scientific basis. Are you kind of on board with stuff like that, or do you tend to lean towards thinking it's more real? Because like my issue with these people is they didn't really genuinely believe what they were dishing out. Some of them did, but some of them didn't. But they still, even though they didn't fully buy it, thought they were helping people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry because I never really dabbled in witchcraft that much. So I'm sorry. What was the exact question? I got confused.
Do you genuinely believe in the supernatural aspect of what you're talking about, and then and continue to, help people with that narrative, or do you genuinely believe it, or do you think that there's not a whole lot behind it, but telling that to them is okay because it helps them anyway?
Are you referring to, like, sorry, and maybe it's, like I said, I'm tired. It's been a long day, so maybe I'm confused. So are you asking if, like, when it comes to doing a reading or doing, like...
Any of this. Do you believe it genuinely works supernaturally, or do you think that it's okay to kind of do it anyways, even though you don't think it works because the person leaves feeling better?
I think that's the other thing. I think we have to define what, like, the term supernatural is, like, because that can mean several things to lots of people. Do I think that there are, do I think that
magic, extraordinary, not based in science?
Well, yeah, I think, that's I guess and if we go in that vein, when it comes to science is always evolving. We're always finding new things. So, like the stuff, for instance, like the stuff at CERN and the God particle 100 years ago with science, that would be different. So, as much as it's weird. I love science. I see both ends of it, and that's the hard part. Like, it sucks for me because I can sit and argue both places. Like, I promise I'm not bullshitting you. It's really hard to answer because I can see both sides of it, or I can sit here and say, for me personally, yes, I believe, like, I have a lot of supernatural, I guess, beliefs. Do I think it's 100% real? Fuck, I don't know. Like, I can't sit here and tell you it is. I can't.
Okay.
I can't. I could never sit here and say, like, with certainty. But at the same time, we're in a universe, in my opinion, and a planet. Things are always constantly changing, even with science. Things are constantly even changing in science. So, but I'm not going to sit here and say I disbelieve science.
Listen, people are saying she has a point. Science evolves. I know that science evolves, but like that's kind of like skirting around the question. Like there is that which is based in reality and is science. And then there's that which people believe is supernatural, like ghosts and magic and things that, you can't, that which does not have evidence and will never have evidence. You know what I'm talking about?
To an extent. Like I said, it's hard because I don't, like, for instance, like when it comes to magic, I don't know much about that and dabble much about that. So it's like and I know, like, that's why I said the term supernatural for me is a very broad term, I guess, because that was never something that I was into or was a part of. But I mean, there's some things, like, I'll sit here and open up about some stuff. Like, do I feel like people, like, and if they want to speak to a dead relative? Absolutely. I'm not saying that, I'm not advocating somebody does it. I'm not even saying there's any scientific base, but I think it's absolutely possible. And I think some people can absolutely do that if they are intuitive enough, or if that's something they want to try to do. And I'm not telling anybody they should. Like, I want to make it very clear. I'm not like, this is what people should do. Do I have any evidence that exists? Nope. Just feelings, something that,
that's kind of what I was going for. That's what I wanted to know. So you do believe in supernatural things. So if you were to, like, talk to people about that kind of stuff, you're not, like, in your head, like, thinking, oh, this is bullshit and I'm getting you to buy it so I can get something out of you.
No, but at the same time,
because that's the angle that that's the angle because he kind of said you were a con artist several times and gave the impression that you were benefiting off of basically tricking people. And I feel like you can only trick someone if you don't believe in it yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Well, right. And at the same time, what he
or maliciously trick someone.
Right. And what he did not prove is I never made a dime off of any of that. Again, except for, like I said, there was one time where I did tarot card readings. I didn't like it. And I have literally, like, there's no, like, aside from that, there is absolute, and even that I think this is the first time I've ever even told that story. There's no benefit for me to even sit here and say that. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm being completely honest with that's how I feel about it. And that's the other thing. He has every right to feel the way he feels. But where's the evidence? that I conned anybody or
someone said, I feel like Repzion didn't directly accuse her of being a con artist. That's literally what he said word for word. He said con artist. So I'm not pulling that out of a hat, guys.
Correct.
Get it? Magic joke. Anyways. Okay.
Oh my god, I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to me. I think I'm gonna probably end the broadcast soon. I've been on for an hour and a half. This is getting
my god. Okay. Thanks for hanging out. And I'm sorry if this was, like I said, I'm really tired tonight. It's been a really long day. I've had some stuff go on, but so sorry if I'm a little out of it. But thanks for talking.
All good.
I appreciate
I'm
it.
a bottle of wine deep, so I'm with you, kind of.
Girl, yes. And hey, listen, if you ever have any questions about any of this shit or want to go over it or whatever, I'm an open book. Let me know.
Cool.
I got no problem talking.
Cool. And I will one last time let you know that I think it'd be awesome for you to respond and a good idea.
I'll take it in. And I also want to say real quick, like you've always, like, YouTube is such a fucking shit show. Like I sincerely, I'm always like every other day, I'm like, I make $30 a day at this. I'm like, I regret doing this, like putting this much work in, but you've always been really nice and really respectful. And I'd like, even if you disagree with me, thank you for being kind. Like I sincerely thank you for being kind. I appreciate it.
I disagree with a lot of people, and they don't have the same idea. Like if I attack Christianity, they think I'm attacking Christians, and it's not quite that. If I say that something, a belief is something that I don't share or I'm skeptical of it, it doesn't mean that it's an attack on the people who hold that belief.
Definitely. And I want you to know right now, like, I will not be offended. Like, if anybody, including you, wants to go after any of the new age stuff, do it. There's a lot of horse shit. That's why I left. Like, I saw so much horse shit and I realized, oh my God, a lot of this is just people making money and full of crap. Right. That's where I can see your guys' point of view. I really, really can. I agree with it. But anyways, I'm sorry. Go. I know you.
All good. All good. I'm sure I'll see you around the internets.
No problem. Take care, Jaclyn. Have fun.
Bye.
Bye, miss.
Wow, we are an hour and 35 minutes in, guys. I did not expect to be live this long tonight. That's kind of crazy. All right, what do you guys think? I was unable for a lot of that to follow the comments because I was focusing on what she was telling me. So, give me all the feedback. Give me all the feedback. Yeah, there were some long explanations to questions. But I feel like we did cover everything I wanted to cover. So good convo, too much drama or so much drama. Yeah, there was a lot. I mean, there's always, like where there is internet, there is drama. So it's kind of, some parts seem legit, but she also lied a bit as well. Well, where was the lie? You can't just say that. You got to tell me what's the lie. When you asked her first, she conned people, she said no to begin with. But that's a straightforward question. No one's going to be like, yes, I con people. You have to ask questions in different ways to get people to say things. And at no point I don't think there was no point where she was like, yeah, I lie about things I believe to get something from people, which is what I was saying before I even asked her those questions. I was saying, although I do agree with Repzion on a lot of the points of skepticism, because I am also skeptical of all of this stuff. I think it's all bullshit. But that doesn't mean everyone who holds that idea or that speaks about it publicly is doing so in a malicious way to con people. And that's what I wanted to really find out.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and follow us on Twitter to keep up to date on your favorite streamers. We'll argue later.